Breda Larkin,
Tom, how are
delighted,
you?
delighted to have you.
Delighted to be here. I have my little bit of tea here. Cheers.
Oh, fair play to you. Cheers is right. There's no podcast writing without tea. I don't know. I never trust people that are drinking like soft drinks or whatever. It's like, come on out of that.
Yeah, yeah. It's still cold, isn't it? Still cold for tea.
Do you know what? I drink tea, boiling hot tea, the hottest day going. I don't give a damn because
Yeah.
you know what I mean. Do you know you're a person, I swear to God, I'm unreal for making lists. And I'm always
Mm.
making lists and never completing these lists. And it really annoys me whatnot, or getting to these lists. And I must have written Breda Larkin for podcast, I'd say 50 fucking times. And because you're always like somebody, you're always fierce interested. Do you know that kind of way? Because you were doing something different all the time than anybody else I knew. You know that kind of, anytime I ran into you.
Oh,
Do you know, it's such as
yeah.
it always kept me kind of, I was like, I can breathe as somebody I had to have on, you know. So you're keeping well though. You're in the most, again, another very interesting scenario right now. You briefly told me where
Yeah.
where
Well, I'm in Jordan and we're doing a show. So we're kind of residents here. So at the Eco Village here. So they have a place you can hire a space. But Cian, who I'm working with, his sister lives here, so we've a bit of a community there as well. And we can show. Actually, today we showed some of our play to the kids, his niece and nephew, and it's very effective to just to try a few bits out on kids because it's for children. Like it's a family show, but it'll be on the street, so you want the kids to be happy more than anything.
I love that you're in
Yeah.
Jordan, and I when you said to me I'm going to be in Tip, I was going, what is? Must be some farming thing or something going on in
Yeah.
Tip now or whatever. But that's brilliant that it's not. Do you know what I mean? That it's there's actually a space for that, because I often wonder, and we'll get into it too, because how you find these things, and like that, it's if you go properly looking. This weekend, myself and Bernard Casey are in the back of Beyond's in a place called Cloheen at the foot of the V Mountains. And it's sold
nice.
out.
Yeah.
We had to put on the 2 gigs because it's after
Yeah.
selling out. You're like, what?
Yeah.
What? So it turns out if you go bring it to the people, they will come. Like,
Oh, definitely. Sure. Like, I mean, and rural people, I think, are always great for turning out. Like, I mean, the theatres in Ballinasloe, like where I'm from, like everyone always shows up for the musicals and the drama, the usual dramas group. 3 nights they sell out in a row, like, do you know what I mean? No bother, because everyone just goes. So that's, it's great to be able to bring a show around, costs a bit extra because, for touring, but it's worth it, to reach bigger audiences and stuff. So we could crack. We're in mostly a lot of the festivals,
yes,
We'll be out in Dingle. I think we're in the what's the one in Tipperary? It's gone from my head now. But anyway, it's a whole tour this summer. So
that is that class. How long were you planning to put that one together? Or were you chomping at the bit? Were you to go in 2020, like, or?
No, this is brand new show. So Cian Kinsley, the Lord of the Strut, like he
Yes.
he hired me to be. We used to live together in Cork. We know each other really well, and actually we had a show during lockdown in Carlow Arts Festival called Grow, which was about growing food. Like during lockdown, he kind of went back to home and grew food. He's very good at growing food anyway. So like he just did his videos from his garden, just putting in potatoes and whatever else in his kind of style they did it. So they kind of gave him money to do a show, and he got me and Deirdre. But it's actually kind of true. We were kind of on lockdown, didn't have anything else to do except go to his mother's farm. It's like a big garden. It's like a nice big garden, 5 acres on the Barrow. So it was very nice. You know what I mean? And we do a lot of talking about eco, I like the environment and how to grow and soil and everything. I'm doing a soil course at the moment as well, so it's all relative to what I'm kind of doing. Do you know what I mean?
So now you're talking my language. You're doing a soil course, because one of my favorite subjects when I studied engineering was soil mechanics. And when I say it to people, they're like, oh, what are you talking about? Now ours would have been more so about the bearing and the strength of different ground and stuff like that. But I went into like, I suppose just nearly terraforming is what we did. But we were creating big gardens and that we were building golf courses. Do you know, in a way? So, but earth earthworks were always a thing that interests me, and what to be grown inside them, and why does it smell a certain way and stuff like that. And where are you studying doing a soil course?
Well, so I'm part of a farm group called Hollow Bio. So
Lovely.
we got an,
Yes.
yeah, I like this was actually started in Clough, so it's a good full circle. It's a couple of years old, like 4 or 5 years old now. I've been a member of the core group for a couple of years because like they're just a great bunch. They're all farmers, like they're all small horticulture, but some of them are micro dairies. And here in Clough Crawford Farm, Mimi and Owen Crawford, they run a very successful, micro dairy, milk,
I've
butter.
had their milk. I've actually had their
Yeah,
milk. Yeah.
and so they sell. So they run a good farm, like small holding but successful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and they work. But anyway, so that's what she's on in the core groups. It's really good people in there. I'm learning a lot. At the last couple of years, learned tons. And I'm farming a bit with Daddy, like, but I'm mostly in transition to see what we can do, how to come out of the beef system in a way.
Yeah, that was what I was. See, I want to pick your brain about this because,
Yeah,
like that now, myself and herself, we're eyeballing a couple of acres back the way, and
yeah.
that is the plan, is to more or less come off the grid as much as possible
Mm.
for a bunch of reasons, but also, why wouldn't you? Do you know what I mean? Why wouldn't you? But what's your plan for? Were you dry stock? Are you beef?
So we're dry stock beef. We're suckler now. It's dry stock. But my father, he's 77. The hip is at him, and lately he's like the hip is sore now. If that goes, I'm fucked. I'm fucked.
Yeah,
By the
anybody else
holiday.
77 would be
I know.
fucking feet up, but old country farming lads, sure,
Oh,
our lad's the very same, as hard as nails, but bits hanging off him, with he's busted.
so funny. He's out there doing it all. But it's grand, like it's kind of winding down a little. But so the soil course, I'm part of the group, so I tested the soil. A soil scientist came out. She took a sample, and it's like stuff for like compaction to see how much compaction's in the ground and
Yeah.
recognize compaction, and then test of organic matter, and then the kind of structure of it, and then all the kind of nutrients that would be in there, so it's quite good actually for a field that has cattle on it, heavy beasts. You could say it's a bit compacted, but it's got great organic matter. So I can start to understand, the different farm systems, what's good and what's not good. But we've good land, in fairness, or we've good, arable land, really, thanks to we're farming there since I don't know the 1800s or something. It's good land, good for East
Yes.
Galway.
and
But
and yeah, because that's what we're looking at the minute now. Is it would appear to the naked eye not good land,
yeah.
but I had a bit of a good old route at it, and it's actually grand. It's grand. It just hasn't been farmed, I'd say, in 50 years. So
Yeah.
yourself, it's gone. It's just wild. It's folded over tussocks of grass, the odd old rush, but it was previously drained, and the drains were never looked after. That kind of way. So I was like, oh, I could get at this rightly now and do a right job. I'll just have to pick Breda's brain.
Yeah, well, I think, like reclaiming land is I'm just all about the trees, because actually tree lanes, like agroforest is a great forum started now. It's North and South Agri-Forestry Forum of Ireland. There's some absolutely brilliant people in there. And this is kind of what needs to happen in Ireland. Instead of the reliance on the synthetic fertilizers and all, just put in like rows of trees, which would be kind of controversial, but you can still cut between them like 20 meters. You can still.
Yeah.
And what happens is the roots are, do everything that the compaction, it brings oxygen in, it sort of creates a structure, it brings in nutrients, especially you can cut and drop, and you can put in different types of trees, like, like willows, or things you can coppice and cut down and grow back and keep them tight, and maybe let the odd fruit tree grow if you want. But that's a very interesting way now to go, to drain
Yes.
land in a more, I suppose, holistic way, because reclaiming land, I always think nature's going to win. The rushes just come up, the docks come up, and what, like, it's a vicious circle, really. But at home, we've a good, like, he's pretty, when I say organic, like, he doesn't put, he's not heavy on the old nitrogen. He can't afford it this year.
I was going to say it's €1,000 a ton this year. Jesus Christ! I was only talking about a fella.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
It's so now, like, I suppose I'm proud of Tulloch because we have solutions. I'm in this group. There's some brilliant people, Morris, DC, big tillage farmers. It's not just the kind of, it's the environmental, it's the European Innovation Project that the Tulloch got, which does take in the whole of Ireland, and some great farmers came aboard. They don't necessarily have to be members of Tallaght Bio, but they're just interested in testing the soil, seeing what to do. Some of them are tillage, some of them are dairy, mostly, yeah, mixed, really mixed farming is that sort of thing. But you farm stock beef as well, don't you, at home?
We did. We've gotten out of it. We've gotten out of it since the same fellow that bought the farm now is a big horse, because the land was good, like, but so he's a big horse man. So his horses is all he keeps there now. Like, so they have some lovely land to wander around. To be fair, this place has actually been overrun around here. A lot of people bought land around here and then did nothing at all with it. But the deer are having a field day around here. It's unbelievable. Yeah, the license is on the way. The license is on the way because
the wolf. You can be the wolf.
I know, but the only thing is, it has to happen. Like, you know what I mean? Because
yeah, I totally. I think we should be breeding like deer meat or things that can like breed fast. Rabbits even. I don't know. Like, I find like the beef is just too much. It's too much inputs now, and I don't know. They're beasts too, Tom. I mean, I see the owl lad gets an owl kick one day, he'll be dead.
Yeah.
And sometimes said to me, Mammy's out there too, you're forcing her to go out. We're not, none of the girls are interested. I've only got sisters and I'm not there. I'm kind of like, luckily I'm busy now. It's been a while. I used to be hanging around the farm because I'm waiting for some job. And now I do have a proper job where I want in theatre, but it's full on. You know yourself, if you're doing a show, you have to put everything into it, So.
Oh yeah, you're not going fork and silage in now after you're getting done there this evening.
No, I'm not even home. I'm going to go home maybe Thursday though, too, but.
Yeah, of course, because you're addicted. You have it in your veins, like. But as you say that, I remember I was chatting with Michael Rice. You know Michael Rice from Kilkenny. Like his father, sure, a bull turned on him. The poor man wouldn't write for months after it. Like, so, as you said, they're beasts. I've been a full advocate of rabbit and deer. I can't understand. Well, I do. I totally get it. Big Agri are absolutely shutting out the idea and perpetuating this notion of myxomatosis and Lyme disease and all the rest of it. Like, well, I've ate hundreds of both and never, other than having a weird mustache and a bad haircut. That's about as mad as I've gone from any other things. Like, but sure, I mean, you can't make money off something you can catch yourself. So.
And that's all it is. You're glad you see how it is. Like, I did the Green Cert there lately, and I have a joke. I want to do a comedy. I did this. I say they should be wearing, the teachers should be wearing like the Formula One, like the drivers.
Sponsored,
they're sponsored by. Because it's so obvious. If I came out there learning nothing, and then throw a bit of 10, 10, 10 wood to you, be all right, farming's easy, really. If you measure the grass and you put it in here and you give all this, and so I don't know. It was a bit boring in a sense. Like all the soil, we did a bit of soil, but basically kind of leaving cert ag science stuff. Not going really into how to keep it even when if you see land at all that has waterlogged, it's totally compacted. And compaction can happen from loads of things. It can happen from silage. Or slurry, I should say, a slurry, big machinery, loads of things, but it just it needs a bit of a rest. That's it. I know that's controversial because you're a big, you're producing, but
of course,
or else there's a thing called mob grazing, keep moving them on, but that's more work. You have to go out there, move the electric fences, but don't let them eat it. They're kind of
don't eat it down to red raw, so
you're kind of using the animals as tools to build your soil, farming the soil instead of the grass, because you could build up organic matter really quickly there, that way, and then suddenly you won't need the fertilizer, because it'll, it's all about, I think, granted, but I think overstocking is a big problem,
But sure, this is it. There's no rhyme or reason to the amount we have, and the way. You see what's being processed, and the process that goes into what I would love is to raise our own cow or our own bullock, and you know what I mean, process it as per needed.
Well, that's what, if you get and then when right,
sorry, go ahead. Sorry, I know it. I'm only not.
I just want to give you a name now. His name is Clive Bright. He's a good surname. He's a
Clive Bright, right?
Yeah, Sligo, a rare ruminaire is his name of his website, and he, is organic, but he's took over his father's dairy farm, I don't know, about 15 years ago or something, but he's now almost completely, he's got a circular economy. He does his own cattle, and they're outside mob grazing, and then he processes them themselves. He brings them to a fella in, I think it's Grange in Longford anyway, but the butcher, they'll do it. He does his meat boxes. He has his 20 kilos of meat boxes, and he's got his loyal customer base, and he's got lovely grass fed, really good meat, like,
Of
like
course.
Hertfordshire, something kind of like who are hardy and like off the land. Do you know what I mean? Culls, if they're not thriving, he'll cuddle them, and stuff like this. He's got his website is so, it explains everything so well.
Yeah.
He's been on a few things, like he'd be on Ear to the Ground, Clive Bright, like he's popular because he's young and really good speaker. But he's, I think, the future for what in the West anyway, or in the Midlands for for what to consider bad land, but just small fields, small pastures.
I've a funny feeling that with pricing and everything, I think it'll be forced to go that way. I think it'll be forced. It'll have to be, because you can't rely on, as you said, 10, 10, 20 at €1,000 a ton now. You
Yeah,
can't, like.
you'd be hoping people don't go into debt just to do it, because I mean that's the big problem. And like, don't fall for it. It's another. I mean, I don't know. Clive is my hero anyway. I'd love if I properly got into farming. That's what I'd be doing. I'd tell Daddy. He's always saying to me, "Sure, what work? The amount of work. How are you going to move the trot?" I said, "Well, you're a blacksmith. You can make a wheel. We'll push it."
Yeah.
That's a lot of work. I'm like, well, I think farmers should work. You know what I mean?
Do you know what? It's just funny you say it, because I remember, like, my grandfather and father, like, there wasn't a peak. My grandfather only passed away last year at 100. There wasn't a peak on him, about fit as a flea.
Yeah.
But the bastard was working 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
And when you look at it, you're like, he could put away 6,000 calories, but not a pick
Yeah.
on him, like, because you're going all day long, like, because just you're treating it like the amount of lads I see now leaning on gates, chatting over gates in the middle of the day, and you're like, come on now, come off it,
Yeah.
like, you're not, and then buying it, fortune to buy in grain, and you're like, well, your father didn't do that. He would have grown turnips and angled them and fed him that instead, like, or beet even, like.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gone a bit. It's just a bit like it is very expensive, and you can either do the like change system completely. But I think I'd like to do the in Ballinasloe this year for the fair, because I never do 10, 10, 20. The land is on drugs. My lecture, my quirky lecture for the farmers, during but lockdown happened, and we couldn't do it. So I did. That's how Annie Oaks came about. I used the money
Yeah.
to make the video with the girls, and because I got money from Galway 2020, but it was great. I was like, Ballinasloe, small town, big ideas. That I do agriculture and the environment. 10, 10, 20. Like, it was landed on the fair day. Landed on the 10th, the 10th, 2020. It was a sign.
Stop.
Yeah. So I was like 10, 10, 10, 20. The land's on drugs, and just talk about, because I learned about synthetic nitrogen. I learned about, it's actually disrupting the mushroom web underground. That's the biggest thing that it's doing. Is, do you know about yourself? You don't see any mushrooms in the fields anymore,
Yeah.
like flat mushrooms. Like, that's why it's actually disrupted the mycelium, that network, the World Wide Web underground of all the mushrooms. This there's a more scientific word for it, but that's basically at the
No, I've heard of it. I know. Yeah, I know.
mycorrhizal. Yeah, so that's what it's doing, synthetic nitrogen, because like Tom, like, when the grass sees, it's like sugar, it just gets lazy and takes the sugar or from the thing, instead of going deep into the soil and getting nutrients that way, in the natural way. And slowly the soil is becoming deader in a sense, because then the grass being weaker, becomes more relying on the old synthetics. But I mean, it can be turned around. I mean, this fella said 5 years it can all turn around, but you have to start cutting out the thing, and then maybe adding new, more, like you said, an odd time, like more things with roots and stuff, because the roots are so short. So it'll just be a change, because I feel, if I listened to the Green Search, they'd have me going out to one of Daddy's old pastures, spraying it, spraying it off, and then reseeding with a couple of the Italian job.
Yeah.
A couple of rye grasses and a bit of clover. That's the new. Did you hear about clover? Something simple, 4 or 5 species, when you could put in 40. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what's the teaching. That's the teaching, Tom. And I've talked to owl lads who are heartbroken when their young lads are coming out saying this shite to them. Do you know? And it's so it's they call it a grazing platform. So it's like a factory floor, I would say. They look at land like a factory floor. So I suppose with Talamh Bio, I'm opposing. I think that's wrong because actually the other way won't be good for business because you'll be able to be self-sufficient in a few years, but no one's going to get any money that way. But I'm not saying everyone should do it. Obviously, there's big farms that need it, but the small farmers should just try and cut their costs down like that. Do you know what I mean? But it's more work, like I said, and the labor is a problem. That is a problem too.
Yeah,
Trying to get.
that's my argument with that is I've absolutely no time for that when labor is the only issue. It's like a fellow was saying to me about going up and doing a job, and then I said, well, after that, then I'm going on to Mana, and he's, I mean, what? She'd be wrecked. I went,
Yeah.
So fucking what? Tiredness? Do you think tiredness is going to something that you should crib about? Like, do you know what I mean? When I'm, I'm getting to do a gig or whatever. What are you talking? Tiredness is a thing. Is not. It's not like somebody's battering me across the head with a hammer on the way there. Like, it's just tiredness. Like, I think we've fallen out of fashion a small bit with a small bit of elbow grease. Like, people are a small bit frightened of it. Like,
definitely. Like, and even farming, like the idea of work is like a poor thing or something.
Yeah.
Or he's, it's but like you need to work or else you're sitting in a bloody tractor. And well, sure, doing the green story, I also had a tractor. You had to do, a little driving test in the tractor.
I was going to ask you that. Yeah.
Bring it round and thing. I was just sat in the thing. I was like, it's like being the fucking Starship Enterprise. Like, I didn't even know how to start it. I was like, what is this? You can't even see it. I was very weird. I was like, I would not want to farm, And I have a good joke too about like big tractor like that costs what, 150 grand, something crazy. Yeah. And then like, horsepower can pull 19 tons. And then, one pass, you look at the back of it, what's in the back of it, a transport box.
Yeah. The transport box, maybe with a roll of wire inside it. Yeah. That he could have put in his car. Yeah.
Exactly. Fuck it on his bicycle. That's so funny. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I know the ploughing championship is very popular and all, but like it's just like, selling people an idea or something. But it's not. It's been proven now, and the IFA and everything are Talamh Bio. Like, we're showing up at all sorts of soil events now, talking about the project because it's a European project, And the IFA lads are like, Jesus, that's actually even they're like thinking, fucking, that sounds like the way we should be going.
Well, it is funny you say it because my uncle would be staunch IFA. He's a contractor and stuff like that. But I remember I spoke to just a couple of years ago now. He said, Jesus, I'll have to get out of this. I'll have to get out of these cows. And for Jesus Christ, this is just. But then something had twigged in his brain. I don't know, he must have listened to now a podcast or something. Something twigged in his brain and we're ruining the place with him. I said, yeah. Now he's in Wicklow, but he was creating what he wanted to create then was land that they would all give up to a degree for people to go hill walking and just leave it to the animals and leave it to the bees and and everything else they wanted to live up there. Like, truth be told, a load of fellas weren't into it, but just fuck all you could do with it, bar put a couple of sheep up in it. It's just no use. But he started to turn. I was like, get out of it altogether and start growing cannabis. Rocket, start growing cannabis. Do something, or do something that you don't have to be spraying.
I tell you, like, there's a good business in like growing apples. Well, the cider business. There's good business in growing like hemp is on the up.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Like there are interesting things happen, but 100%. I think just like stop what you're doing, especially lads in the 70s. I know it's scary business, but sure. Why should they, this obsession, I need to leave a big, leave this, that, and the other, I can't change, or like, I think, need to just stop and take a moment, even sure, I'm talking to the outlet about it too, and he's still mad for buying cattle, but I mean, sure, he likes it, and that's grand, but I mean, he's, there's loads of things I'd like to do in the farm eventually, but I mean, like I said, you do need to commit to it. It's like Anthony, and, it's, so a few more years of gallivanting, I might go home then,
Well, if you set up like your man now a nice vlogging business or whatever that we could all watch you doing it, like this top acre here, I'm going to go up. That's going to be my haggard. That's going to be pure spuds up there, or you know what I mean, or whatever. I'm going to leave that to the pheasants. Do you know? Yeah. I think it would make for very, very. Did you by any chance see a program that's on? You'd get it on More 4. It's called The Simpler Life, and
I've heard of it. Yeah, I think
it's very interesting. He's a big scientist in Harvard or something. This fella, American, and I know he's been on Joe Rogan, and he set it up in England. in Devon, where basically they're after leasing this farm, and they've left it bog basic like it was in the 1820s, and they've sent over an Amish family to run it
Oh yeah.
and be the man. And what they've done then is they've brought in people who wanted to pull out of the rat race of their lives in the big cities, and see, could they work? No electricity, no telly, no nothing, and just work and learn how to work. Now they don't go too hard on them, in all fairness, because they'd break them. Like, but it's unbelievable how they were able to measure their psychological evaluation. The ones that would stick it out. The older ones now, you couldn't break them. The older ones have all packed in after week 3 or 4 because they're going, I can't have me curry. I want a couple of beers. And they're going, no, that's not what we're here for. And all the youngsters are going, this is unbelievable. One lad, he was a pure rake of a young fella. He only ever got to 7.5 stone. And he says, look, I'll never put on weight. It's just the way I am. Ended up loving it. Out weeding fields. Weeding now. Proper weeding, like. Weeding like maybe 20 acres. And within a month, he put on 1.5 stone of muscle. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you couldn't believe his luck, like. But it was just interesting to see how like the people 50 plus and 40, would say 40, late 40s upwards. No. The brain had been set at that stage and was set for urban life, and no way.
Yeah. No, the young people, I mean, but like it is up to the young people. Like, I mean, you can give out about our lads all day, but like they worked, like, you know yourself, our fathers like worked like dogs, like, so it is our turn the generation to give it a go. I mean, so there is that as well. So I think with Talavio it's great because there is young people and people, it's slowly kind of, you know, like getting out there. Like, I mean, if you look at our website now, you'll see there's a map of Ireland. There's going to be 15 farm walks over the summer, and it's all in different water catchments. Do my water catchment. So we're in the upper Shannon or the lower Shannon. One, and Fergal Anderson's in the upper. So there's two, even though he's like near Lochray and I'm near, I suppose, Kiltormer. So like it's but so the farm walk, you can just, anyone can come on it. I suppose I'm doing that course, like I said, the Elaine Ingham soil course, which is really complicated and it's long and I have to listen, and you can't move on to the next lecture until you do a quiz and get them all right.
Of course.
Well, at least 80%. But it's good. So I am learning a lot. And she's like, I suppose, she's been doing it for 40 years. She qualified in 1981. She's been, you know, like just understanding what soil does. It's so amazing soil, like it'll do, once the right conditions are right, it'll do whatever you want it to do, you know. And no, she says, like, once you have the exudates around the root and also around the plant, a healthy plant, healthy roots, they build this sort of glue, like no pest can penetrate, like nothing, you know, really, like even, you know, weather storms and stuff. So she has had real proof that this is actually working, you know, like a lot of farmers that have gone this way. She's American, you know, Michigan, Minnesota actually. So we speed up her lecture because she's really slow talking.
Well, of course, you see, they're absolutely riddled with what Monsanto has done to them over there. Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly. The place is a state in Middle America. Yeah.
Do you know? I mean, making these genetically inferior seeds, and you can only buy their seeds, and they'll fail if you don't put their weed killer on them seeds. And you're like, for the love of Jesus, you know, you can do nothing. But
I'd be worried about the wheat thing now, that they might be, you know, open doors for genetically modified wheat from America, you know, or something. So I think we should resist that because, like you said, you're right. They like, if they could blow into my field, and then next thing I will be sued because it's my seed, you know, that it's just a dirty old business. Yeah. I understand, you know, modifying things for different climates, and they will be necessary for probably but you know, with the idea that they're taking they want all the food, all of it.
It's so creepy, like,
you know, it's creepy. So it's like micro dairies. I would say to people, like, to really, if they're lucky enough to have like a micro dairy or a local, you know, horticulture person really close by, like within a couple of kilometers, they should definitely support them, you know, and make a community. And like I say, go and do a half a day's work and you get a free bag of veg, and, you know, great.
But this is it. Well, I mean, we take our little fellow. There's a great fruit farm up the road, and
what is it called?
They're classes. They've been there forever. They're Dutch people. It's on the way between Cahir and Clonmel, but we were nearly joking the last day. Well, I mean, I said they'll have a picture of him up banning him because of the carnage he ate through the last day. Like our lad doesn't want to eat anything that's has been produced in the kitchen, but he'll pull a carrot straight out of the ground, would eat it with dirt and worms and everything hanging off it. Like, you know, like, but he wouldn't fucking touch one inside.
Yeah,
Just
funny.
but he
You know,
yeah.
it's good.
We should have weighed him like you weigh the trailers going into a place. We should have weighed him going in and going out because what he ate inside there, like, but it was more crack than any youngster could ever have, running around gobbling out berries and stuff like that and biting out bits of apples and nothing washed, nothing sprayed, nothing washed. You know, you're eating a beetle every second one, like it's fine, like, you know.
Yeah, it's yeah, like, I mean, it's great to understand the food system. People need to get involved, but that hopefully this, like the farms that are on it, the 15 farms, people go on the website thalafbio.ie. It's a really good website now. It's got all you can like log on to the, you know, wherever Tipperary. I don't know, I can't remember offhand, but there is someone around Tipperary somewhere.
It's starting to there's murmurings of it, all right, because we're intense around here. It's intensive beef farming, like it really is. It's intensive beef farming, and as you go a bit more southwest, it does start to get into kind of arable land and stuff like that. But like
But yeah,
wheat
let me
and
know that
barley,
farm walk, and if you want to learn
I'd love
things,
to.
and that's where to go. The farm walk. I mean, there'll be a couple starting. The first one starts on the 22nd. I know it starts on the 2nd of May, and it's Fergal Anderson in Leaf and Root Farm near Kilreekle, and he's Upper Shannon, sort of East Galway. They have a nice bit of horticultural land, but he grows green manures, and they've been grown for restaurants there. So their like soil is amazing. I mean, if you wanted to get good
The best of the
compost, you know,
best,
that's
yeah.
the way to go. But he's, you know, but it's hard work. Like they're nearly, as well, I suppose we're kind of challenging the idea of who's a farmer, because these young horticulture women and men, like, they get no single farm payment. You know, they have no, you know, support, and even access to finance is hard to expand and buy more land, etc. You know, so there is, but they really produce huge amounts of food and they supply food. So I don't know how it's measured really, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But tell me this, and tell me the because we've gigged together a bunch. The wild geese then is that just the two, or is there, because there's often three involved?
No, it's just the two of us, me
Yeah,
and Laura.
yeah,
Yeah.
you and Laura.
We have, with Stony Banter, we have had a few guests, you know.
Yes.
And so that's how that. But we're doing a gig now in Easter Sunday in Street 66 in Dublin, and that's just be me and Laura, and we're happy. I actually feel a bit more happy because, you know, having extra guests adds another strain. Especially, you know, Dave McSavage was on our
Oh
the last
Jesus,
time.
you would know what way that's fucking gonna go. Like,
Oh my God, it's so funny. Oh God, Tom, it was. I mean, it was fine. People, you know, liked it, but I mean, it's
go on, give me your stress levels, because I've worked with McSavage. Like, I know you wouldn't know what's gonna happen next. Like,
yeah, so we had like the cabaret starts around 9. We do a good first half. We usually have a burlesque dancer as well first half, and it was going great. The audience it's full house again, and a lot of like queer audience, new audience, maybe coming from Max Savage and all that. And we had a good mix. A couple of nice lesbians in the front. You know, that's good.
Couple
and,
you said, like, you went out and handpicked. I need a couple of nice lesbians for the front, please. I don't want any of them bad out lesbians. I want nice ones for up the front now.
Yeah. Usually call them the dykes up the dykes at the back and the lesbians up the front. Yeah, but so it was a good show, and so it was just happened to be the interval. You know, everyone's okay, interval, and blah blah, and people go downstairs and they go off fags or whatever else. And next thing, I turn around, there he is, and he's you know, he's stressed out. He's like, oh, where do I sit? Where do I sit? But the room's all higgity piggly. It's upstairs in Kavanagh's. It's a great room.
Yeah.
Pubs. That's just, it's a tiny stage over in the corner, and it's, you know, it needs a bit of work. But I think the room threw him, and all that. So, but he was kind of rude to me, and then he's rude to Laura as well. It was hilarious.
Bollocks,
like. And like, I could take it because I grumpy old men, you know, grew up in fucking the farm, Kiltormer, you know, all. But I think Laura was a bit more taken aback. Plus, she was communicating with him a lot. Like, at the text, she met him on the street and asked. I mean, they're just chatting, and that's how it came about. So, like, anyway, yeah, he did his thing, but he kind of insulted us, the venue, the other act.
He's some prick. He's some prick.
But
He
like,
does it the
it
whole
was
time.
it was the tension was, but at the same time I couldn't really enjoy because I was kind of like, oh, could I? And then he left and we pulled it back. Then he did come back up. My friend Kate went down chatting to him at a fair, and he came back up and we saw our last few songs and we had a bit of, and then we chatted after and it was great. I was like, if funny, why didn't you tell me you're fucking, you know, um, anxious or whatever? Do you know, it's funny, like, but I think anyway, he's a madman. But I still got it was all grand in the end. But so it's funny when you're doing a show, a cabaret, and then you've got that, you're trying to do everything, and then
Yeah.
kind of when the ego comes in, which is fine. It's comedy, and we know it's out
Yeah.
there. So you're dealing with acts.
He's one. But Dave is, if you know him long enough, like I did, and I suppose I've worked with way more ignorant people than him, like in the buildings,
Yeah.
more than anything in the buildings, where there's only two words, or fuck off, fuck man, one, that's it, and he switches into gear, and just like that now, after he had the fag and everything, but he'll jumble all this up, and a lot of it too, I reckon, is only the act he's thrown on too, is just I reckon a lot of it is the old act he'd be putting on.
Well,
And
probably, but I thought, like, maybe, I don't mind your shtick on stage, but like, when it comes to greeting,
yeah,
oh, hello, like it seemed to be on then, maybe, and then it was, anyway, it was fine. It sounded like, it's all an experience, but so we're doing really well. We have that, we're trying to force ourselves to do it once a month
brilliant.
because just so it's monthly and people can expect, so we've got Simon O'Keefe next time and Floozy and Boozy. They're like a cabaret act as well. So we'd keep it to 2 acts and, and so, yeah, but it's grand. It's great, actually. I did a bit of gigging myself with Brian Gallagher and Melinda there. He's got a very good room in 4 Dame Lane. It's called Comedy Do Something.
Yes, I think I'm to do it.
Yeah, it's really good.
Next month, I think I'm to do it.
Great room. He's great and full, like a lovely room. I mean, it is nice to have the audience right there. Do you know what I mean? And yeah. Anyway.
Oh, trying, yeah. But I have no. I was up. I did gigs at the weekend, and not that I was flabbergasted, but it was such a warm hug. It was like, oh, it's all back here. Like, I mean, it was humming. I did 3 gigs Friday and Saturday, and all 3 shows packed to the bollocks. You're like, oh, Jesus Christ, this is class. We've just gone from being, hidden under a rock for 2 years to all of a sudden, it was nearly a shock to the system the first couple of gigs, because I've done gigs back, all right, not many in Dublin, and they've been slow burners for getting crowds and stuff like that. But this was at the weekend phenomenal to see how many people.
Oh, and that was in Dublin, was it?
Yeah, there was 2 shows. No, sorry, 2 shows in the Workman's Club and 2 shows and a show in the internet or the Laughter Lounge. So it was
very good. Yeah, that's a great crowd. Yeah.
But by all accounts, I mean, sure, the Workman's Club alone has 2. It has the lads upstairs that I was doing with Crackdown. I didn't realize there's another one, Stitches Comedy Club, right downstairs in the same actual building. So they've got 2 comedy clubs that can function as
well.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, no, it's very good. No, I mean, people, they're great. There's people really working hard, putting on gigs. Brian Gallagher is unbelievable. He does it, and Eddie Malarkey, they're really Trojans, I met them in Edinburgh. We had great crack a couple of years, like last year, I think it was. I can't remember the years, or we went over in the van just for, it was on, but it was kind of half on.
Yeah.
But we had good time. And, did a bit of this, that, and the other. It was great. Yeah, enjoyed it anyway.
Have you still got the van?
Yes, I do. It needs a new engine. So I have.
I knew, but
I'm going to Thurles, actually.
Yeah,
yeah.
Technically, I do.
Well, I've had this engine for 7 years, but I don't know. I'm getting to know more and more about like Volkswagen and like the old. If them old early 90s engines are they're gold dust because they fit into everything. They're the original Volkswagen or something.
Yeah.
They're like a blueprint. So if you can get like something that's not burnt out or or seized up or something, you know what I mean? Still running in an old caddy or something. So that's I'm kind of on the lookout. But I think I might have one in Thurles now. So I'm going to have a gawk on Friday.
Brilliant. Will
then
you?
I'll bring it to your man, Tinahely. But there's a great guy in Cock Jordan here as well, actually, or Tumi Vara, I know. So I'll see. Maybe I'll. Anyway, there's people that can do it all right. Good
Oh,
with
there's
a
a
pen.
fella. There is a fella in Tinahely. You're right. That's where the uncle is. That's where the uncle has the farm.
In Tinahely, your uncle?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, very good. Yeah. Well, that's where the van is now. Well, not quite. A little bit in towards the boy. What's that place? Kappa Boy. Anyway, it's another.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
Cool Boy. Is that it? Cool Boy?
Yeah. Cool Boy. I
Yeah.
always thought it was the most hilariously named place ever. Cool Boy.
Yeah, Cool Boy.
But I was
Hopefully
talking.
we'll be on the road now for the summer. That's what I'm hoping. Anyway.
And will you go to Edinburgh again? Will you pop over?
No, I don't think I go this year. No, I was too stressful, Tom. Jesus Christ, I was on the hills.
I know, yeah.
Break went at one time.
Oh Jesus!
I opened the van door. The side door came off in our hand. It was like, and then I kept getting fucking tickets because then it cost £4 an hour to park the back.
Yeah.
And they come around, and so it was cheaper. I just used to drive out to Leith and leave it there.
Yeah, I did that.
And hang around, and no, I wouldn't do it in a van again. No way. It's just too much hassle. But good crack though. But so we are the cabaret is going well. We might be doing a bit of filming in June. That might happen, and we've got a good few gigs again with Cian for his he's got this cabaret called Paradise Cabaret that was in the St. Patrick's Festival. So we're one of the acts in that cabaret. So that's what you really want, like something that you just have to show up and do a few songs. And
that's always nice when you don't have the stress of putting on the shagging thing, that kind of way where you're your own publicist, your own fucking organizer. Where did you get, or did you get somebody to make the giant vagina?
Fanny head. Well,
you knew it, but you knew even by my hand signal what I was talking about. It's not the first time you've been asked.
No, it was it's a funny story. I was like in Cork. I lived in Cork, and I was like, I wrote the song. The song had come out of Facebook. People just saying their name for their vagina. Honestly, God, I literally put chords to it and just jiggled around a few words, and then. He said, "You're a gowl," and then "You're a gowl, you're a gowl." I was like, it'd be funny if it turned around and I was a gowl, and I was in the circus factory at the time. And I actually was a gowl, and this girl was like, she's Italian. She's like, I make you fanny head. She makes masks, it just so happened. And I was like, okay, great, because I just need some foam tights, glue. And so I was getting all the ingredients for her and throwing them in over her wall in Cork.
Fanny MacGyver, like what?
She'd ring and say, "You want eye holes in your vagina?" I was like, "You want pubic hair?" I said, "Sure." She goes, "Get me a black wig." So I took Cian's wig. And then she made, "Your vagina's ready." And I remember when I saw it first, I got a big shock. I was like, Jesus Christ. I was like, can't be fucking weird. But it was also really hilarious. But they showed me the funny that same year. I literally show me the funny. That was the joke I had at the end. I'm a bit dyslexic, so I thought it was show me the fanny.
Brilliant.
Because the U is kind of like that. So I turned around with the fanny head on, and people fell off the stool, and I knew I'd win it. I was like, yeah. So
of course, that's how you close, with a giant vagina on your head. Yeah.
Yeah, Jerry Mallon loved it. I do think some older men though in comedy are a bit conservative. It's very funny, they don't. But I love it. I think that's why I like the cabaret scene more. I think it can be more bold or something in a different way. But I still think the stand-up in Ireland is great. The standard of comedy is great, and there's a good vibe.
I think,
don't you think that?
I think there is, and you're right in the cabaret thing, because things like that I've got it broadened my horizon to step out a small bit and do. I was doing like a big pro panto for like 5 years in a row down in Limerick, but the people you meet, panto.
Oh, right, I didn't know.
For University Concert Hall.
Oh no, you didn't.
That never once any year they don't do it. It's like, oh, that's a myth, is it? It's like, yes, that is a myth. No. Yeah, it's a real Brit thing. Irish audiences will. They try. Apparently, they tried it years ago. And it's like, no, Irish audiences are like, fucking move on. Move on. Just make it funny. But I had it very easy. It was basically playing me essentially, and everybody else was very good singers, very good dancers, and whatnot. And then this guy, But the idea of me was I was there for not for the strictly adult humor, but my humor was to go over the heads of the kids, realistically. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's 50-50, and the last thing you need is the parents sitting there, fucking hell, another fucking, baby shark joke, right? Okay, so
Yeah.
but what it did was it broadened my horizons as to the kind of people you meet. From none of them were stand-ups, like none, not fucking within an ass's roar of stand-up. So it's very interesting to meet the kind of people who were professionally performers, and there was a boldness and a but also there was a what would you call it? If I was a smarter person, I could think of the word I'm looking for. Not naiveness, but they were all quite vulnerable, these people, in a way, I found.
Yeah.
Whereas the kind of people but vulnerable in a way that I'm sure everybody's vulnerable, but they were vulnerable, but then very much extroverted in other ways. And almost in stand-ups, I found they're fucking hardened because nobody looks after you in stand-up. Nobody looks after anybody in stand-up. There's nobody to fucking rub your back or tell you're great, or nobody's telling each other they're great.
Yeah.
There is no set through line platform for anybody to go through it. So it's just drag up your shoulders and hammer through the stand-up as best you can. Whereas these people were like, oh, at every opportunity they wanted. I mean, we're talking in corridors and people they're putting on a performance for your conversation. Like,
yeah.
So,
that's exactly like the kind of clowning I'm doing now is I did a theatre course 2009 to 2012 in Kinsale College, drama, very good course for anyone, a FETAC level course, brilliant, Blaine and Belinda Wilder, and for stand-up and all that.
right.
Apparently the first day I was there, she said to me that in the interview, I said, I want to be a stand-up comic, but I didn't know, like at the time I thought I just wanted to do a drama course for drama therapy course, but I ended up doing theatre then. So it is a theatre course. But the stand-up, because they do, voice work and they do like, musical theatre and stuff, you can develop, and they really are both interested in comedy. It's just funny.
Of course,
all the time. You want, like, they want funniness, and comedy is, everyone wants to make each other laugh. So that's really the premise of it. So it's a really good course. But anyway, what it says, so she was saying the theatre, the pantos. Yeah, so the play, the kind of the circus, the people, or the clowning is another level. Like I'm working with Jonathan Gunning now. I don't know if you ever come across Jonathan Gunning, the name.
It's very familiar sounding name, yeah.
Yeah, he's an actor, but he's just a brilliant clown. Like he's just like, I don't know, you play all the time. It's like he just clowns without borders, going around all over the world. For kids, like you're doing, it's not even juggling or circus trick. It's play all the time.
Yeah.
Playing games with them, and once they understand the game they're watching. So I don't know, theatre people are like that too. They play it's more play than words. And that's kind of the difference between the genres. So I feel like I like the old stand-up. I do like the play as well. You know what I mean? So Fanny Head for me was a good little
it's so panto, the huge reveal at the end. Like it is so panto. Like it's like if only you had somebody actually smash a cymbal, as well. Like, just for the impact of that, or just funny. Because I'll never forget somebody doing seeing stand-up being done in China, and in certain parts of Asia they actually have like sound effects when your punchlines land, and lights and things like anime characters up on the gantry, like to tell people what emotion to feel in that moment. Like, so it's like, well, Jesus, that's the absolute bottom rung of the ladder. But doing the panto definitely helped my stand-up. First, like, there was 100% change in it within the first gig back. I was like, what the fuck am I doing with my hands? Like, and all of a sudden, jokes that were grand were killing. Like, just because my hand and my head moved a certain way. But then I realized, oh no, you're absolutely in it. You've learned how to climb into the fucking story and not just be telling it. Climb into the story and wear it and show it to everybody. It's a completely different concept, which I love the idea of it. But you are right. There is, and through no fault of its own, and it'll keep developing as different people join stand up. But you're right. The notion of cabaret people, I like the idea of a bit of boldness. I like that and I found that creeping into my own stand-up. Have you found that, like, where you're going, well, you did, obviously you wore a big fanny on your head for the crack, like?
Yeah, I do. I have like, I think sometimes I you think things that make you funny, but like some of them are really filthy. But like It's great though, but I could write a lot more. And actually, as I'm playing here the last couple of weeks, I actually am been writing jokes the first time in a long time.
Good.
And, I was thinking of one, and you like this now, because, going around the room, he just asked us our pronouns at the start of our development week. And I
Yes.
say, because it comes across a bit, and I say, well, I like these. Yeah, I have a bit of crack with these. Sure, I'll do he, him. I might get the farm. Yeah. So I could play around with that like that, because that's, so you're like, but like, why not? Like, it's so there is some jokes, you're like, oh, will that work? Will I say it? So it is fun the cabaret with me and Laura. I get to try things now. You have your own platform, and that was always what I wanted, to be an MC. To have an audience that comes back, and then you can try what works and then continue. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's great. I'm in certainly busy now, so it's great. I mean, I suppose parents finally think that I'm an artist, maybe as such.
Was
But
that was that a thing, like, where you're going, like, did the rest of the girls go off and get normal jobs, for the want of it?
oh
Because
yeah,
all mine did. They all got no. Well, I did for a while, and then fuck that. Like,
I did as well. I had got I was a healthcare assistant, tour guide. I'm a funeral celebrant. Like, we did
oh,
lots.
I
During
love how
lockdown, I used to be a funeral celebrant.
I love how you made, like, you made the distinct decision to go, I'm going to be a funeral celebrant. I listen, lads. You'll have to baptize the babies yourselves and marry yourselves. I'm a one track
Yeah,
woman here.
I
I'm
want I
burying
have a
people.
one-trick pony. That's all. I don't want to do any marriages. I don't want any bridezillas. I want to deal with dead people. That'll do.
Nice and cuteness. Cute. I know you're already crying.
Yeah,
Grand.
that's it. But so no, but I think about like during lockdown, I started with doing the podcast with Laura. We did about the Good Grief podcast about people who
Yes.
lost siblings, and that was really good. We did keep going with what do we want to do, and then when lockdown came out, so we did start performing again. So I don't know, lockdown was great because you kind of start to value your time, and you do see then, well, I really do think I can do this. And once I started telling myself I was full-time an actor, I could do it, an artist, an actress, whatever. And then I started getting jobs, like the thing came up here with this, and
Isn't that
going to
interesting
that.
how the universe works that way, like, that you
Yeah, and it's
actually.
great. So I really am now potentially a taxpayer, and hopefully the revenue now get onto me. But they'll be chasing me.
Trust me,
Once
they
you start
will.
getting a
They,
lot of,
they
yeah,
will. They caught me a couple of years back. That was a sore year, but
yeah.
we're on
Oh
the
well,
we're
then
on the
we know.
straight and narrow
Yeah,
now. But
exactly. So it's good. It's good. It's good. I can't complain now, I have to say. Yeah.
that's I love hearing good stories like that you've come at it kind of a slightly different way, but it's sounds unbelievably interesting now that you're in a place like Jordan. You're making a show that nobody in the country is making. Do you know what I mean? Nobody's doing what you're doing right now.
Yeah, it's great. It's great dancing it, because Deirdre Griffin is one of the best dancers in Ireland, and she has us all doing like a dance routine. Like, it's going to be a great street show, and it's opening the Baltana Festival in Dingle. I suppose you mentioned that. Like, it's opening that in the Baltana. It's called the Baltana Festival.
Yes, yeah.
Sorry, yeah, down Dingle. I'm saying it right. Maybe Baltana something.
This
Anyway, Baltana Fela, something like that. There's some name in it. But that's where it's opening. So we have full on until then. So I'll be in Dingle for that week, just leading up to that. So that'll be great. And then we're in Junction, Clonmel Junction Festival.
the
We're in
Junction
there, I think.
Festival. Yes,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
it. And we're in Corja and Sligo. So you got some great ones. An Errigal Festival up in Donegal. So these are kind of, hopefully now hopefully, street shows are interesting, because you're hoping the weather will be good.
Yeah.
But it'll be grand. I mean, either move it, you wait a couple of hours till it stops raining. It's good, because shows are different, because you have a captive audience. You have people walking by, so it's a total new experience. But again, it's another big learning curve. But I get to play
Yeah,
a
that's
character. The clown is just a part of yourself you don't mind being laughed at. So I basically play like a version of my father. I know,
brilliant.
but a bit like, but for some reason, every time I do anything, I'm a male character. No matter, just try to laugh, just anything, just the way I carry myself, people just go. So I've always, so I can tap into something more clownish as a male character. Do you know what I mean? It's funny, yeah. So
But
Yeah.
yeah, well, I mean, that comes down to whatever conduit is the easiest, like too, because you get somebody like Ty Hickey, who does brilliant sketches
Yeah, yeah,
where he's making the entirety of all the fucking unions want to fucking hate him. But
yeah.
he's but like
I know.
his when he wants to really switch gears, he switches into a woman and does it impeccably, like
Yeah,
impeccably.
Mairead, yeah, really good.
Mairead, yeah. So it's I guess whatever, and I've actually found it too sometimes, like even in the panto and stuff, because there was talks of I was going to be one of the ugly sisters one year. I was like,
Oh, right.
I am all for this. Like you wouldn't believe. Can I
Yeah,
grow? At the time, I didn't have a mustache. Can I grow a big mustache? They were like, that's actually a great idea as well.
yeah,
That
yeah.
she's going to have a big mustache, or maybe just
Authentic.
a chin smeg or something, like just something. But I found the immediate hilarity in that. I was like, this is hilarious, because I was a terrible woman. But
Yeah, yeah.
I was still defiant that I was going to be. They didn't go for it at the end. I don't know why, but it was. But I have a quick, because I need to pick your brain quickly. I was chatting with Johnny B of the two Johnnies yesterday. We were looking into the back
Oh,
of his
yeah.
van. He was after getting a bit of ash for Hurley's
Okay.
off a fella he was actually planting new. He wanted the same fella now. He's all about what we were just talking about. John, he's a great man. Has been for years, like, kind of a wild man. He's I don't know what he's planting this, but there's more trees he's going planting inside there. But these ash anyway. He said, look, I'd love to leave him, but the fucking disease might get him. Like, so it would seem all the ash trees of Ireland are getting this bastard disease. Is there any idea where it's coming from or what? Like,
It's it's ash dieback. It's spread. It came in. It came in. I blame Fianna Fáil. The song Fianna Fáil.
yeah,
They did bring in import ash trees for the motorways, and they did bring in the disease from the middle. The Poland came from originally. Yeah, it will wipe out the ash trees. It's sad to say it. Like they will. Like whether they go down, like whether they, rot at their roots and fall, which we've got a couple of huge ash trees at home now, 100 and something years old. But they look good. Every year me and Daddy look at them and say they look okay, because some of them might turn around. Some of the trees are good. They might actually defend themselves or something. But the young ash, but there is people working on it. I tell you, a guy, Klaus Leitenberger, he's a German guy. He's big into it. And he's trying to find, Klaus Leitenberger does a lot of stuff like growing Irish vegetables vegetables for the Irish garden, outside and inside. But Klaus has been working on it. Like there's something, even actually, it's ironic, piss helps if you ammonia.
I heard that, natural human ammonia. Yeah, I heard something about that, yeah.
I thought the GA lads could go out after a game, piss all over the trees,
Don't be wasting that piss. Yeah. Okay, bottle up that piss, lads.
Bottle up. Now your dream come true. You can piss in bottles, but they don't know, Tom. Like the point is, it might because the people have plantations that are 20 years old. They're completely destroyed. You can see it. The sets get spots on them. You can tell the leaves won't come. Especially the way they say like ash trees should be out. Well, they should be out at the end of the month anyway, and then you can see. And if they're getting lighter in the, you'll know. But yeah, like it is bad, because I don't know what the fuck. I mean, if they start planting more, you're not allowed to plant ash now. We're going to do a native woodland scheme. I'm still waiting for trees. 3 years. You laugh at this. Got the fucking proposal, and then next thing they've ran out of trees because they destroyed loads a couple of years ago. That's the problem with having only a couple of nurseries. They should have a nursery in every town if they really want to
every town
properly. But anyway, you can grow winter ash, the rowan.
Yeah.
So that's probably the best one to grow. And it's the same job. It'll do the same job, but I think it's resistant to disease. But I wouldn't be planting ash. I think it probably, I don't know, until they find out. But they'll probably genetically modify the seed. Maybe that'd be a good thing.
Maybe that'll be a good, because
resistant to it. But no, it's everywhere. It's all over Europe and all, like all the big ash trees. Yeah.
And what's funny is when years and years ago, I only passed the place recently, I was maybe 13 or 14. I think it was 13. It was my first proper job. And I was working for a giant nurseries, hundreds of acres that were growing of different various trees. And at one stage, this is kind of pre-Ireland getting any few pound for any. We didn't fuck all motorways at this stage, really. Maybe it was mid-90s.
Yeah.
and a load of European politicians of sorts came and visited the nursery and bought like hundreds upon thousands of our trees. Bought them and brought them to fucking Europe. And you're like, Jesus Christ Almighty, could you
That's
not
what
have had a,
happened.
could we not have had
They
a
fucking
word?
had our trees.
Yeah.
And they brought them in. They knew. They're like, all our fucking trees are disease. We'll bring them to Ireland. I mean, we're an island. Fucking Fianna Fáil. That's why I'm like,
Oh,
fucking idiots.
which are,
But yeah, no, the that's so funny. What nursery did you work in? Was it
SAP,
what
SAP nurseries,
staff?
SAP.
Yeah, because
They're huge. Like
yeah,
they're
they're still going. Are
they
they
are.
still?
Yeah, no, they're still going. They're still going. Yeah, I think they may have changed the name or whatever. They're still
Yeah,
going. They're not on the colossal scale. They were on a colossal scale.
yeah. Well, look, Newton already have 300 acres or more, I think, of trees down there near Tinahely as well, around there. None so hardy, excuse me. None so hardy. That's
But
what their name.
what was killing and brilliant at the same. You'll love this. Do you know what we got for our? Yeah. This is what I never got to say this to you.
Yeah.
For we have Natasha's a very eccentric uncle,
Mm.
and fucking he's a bit of a shaman. He's he drums and stuff like that, and he's sweat lodges and stuff. But for our wedding present, he bought us 100 miniature oak trees.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, but I was like, Joe, what are we going to do with 100? I don't have. We're renting. What are we going to do with 100? Like, fuck it. I'm telling you now, the universe. You'll have a place that'll fit him. And like, so we left it go about 6 or 7 months. I said, listen, we need to go about these trees. We've this voucher, like, and I said we'll put them in pots for now anyway, and we'll put them down at the mother's place. But we went out, and the saddest thing ever, they were noble sized. This was a noble nursery, and it was closing down.
Yeah.
It was so sickener to see it. And your man says, "Oh, geez, we've none of them left, anyways. But I'll give you equivalent, something else equivalent." I said, "Well, look, we don't give us 100 of them." He says,
Yeah.
"Okay, well, the equivalent pricing wise, I'll give you 18." And it's like these. I suppose they're juvenile, but they're maybe all 12 foot high now. Of these they're unbelievable, these trees that he gave us. So I built giant boxes for him. So it said, so they're going to need a fucking low loader by the time we actually get to plant them over, hopefully back the road. But it was
what type of tree are they? Do you know?
Oh geez, I've actually had the fucking. Do you know what? I'll text you on the list because you'll like them. They're lovely. They're lovely. These trees, like we got two of each. They weren't all the same one because he didn't have them. Unfortunately, it was the saddest thing ever. We're out there and lads are just closing gates, and you're going, what? You should be fucking booming. You should be absolutely booming, like.
Well, that's mad. And then us running out of trees, your man couldn't. I mean, I could have been planted there in March. That was the plan, to do a week of planting. I convinced Daddy over 3 years to let me do the native woodland scheme. It's a nice bit of money. It's like €680 per hectare for 15 years. And you get to keep the thinnings or you can sell them, but they're good native wood. I mean, like I really believe in to plant like maybe 5% of the farm or something in a wood, because I suppose my sisters are therapists and stuff like that. I really believe in this retreats and stuff, and
Yeah.
I'd like a wood. And Daddy's like, so the land will be gone forever. I said, yeah, but we all agreed they all want to have a wood, so that's
But it didn't gone. All you've done is decorate it. It's still fucking there, like.
Yeah, but the thing is now I'm thinking maybe I do the agroforestry and just put in the 3 lanes, and I can keep grass, then or whatever. I can keep
Yeah, why not?
grow crops and stuff. But we'll see. It's I've been waiting now. I just think, well, if it happens, it happens. At this stage, I'm just like almost giving up, but it's grand. If it happens, it happens. But sure, hey.
And what were the trees before I let you go? What were the trees you were hoping to?
They're a native woodland scheme. So the pioneer trees are oak.
Lovely.
Oak and Scots pine and what is it? Oh, I keep forgetting this. I think it's the roan. There's one other. This is so funny. I should know this now.
It's been 3 years since you ordered the fucking thing, so.
Yeah, but he was telling me all this. But then the understory is like hawthorn, holly, different stuff like that. So, it's but the ones the Scots pine, the oak. And I suppose it must be willow or one of them. No, willow is probably not a pioneer. I'll have to text you that too, because that's
Yeah.
my brain's not there. It's like the triangle. It's like, maybe it is hawthorn. I don't know. Anyway, either way, a lot of oak, a lot of Scots pine, and a lot of birch. That's it.
Birch.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So that once you get a lot of birch in, Scots pine and oak, and then you could put in, because ash is gone now, because that used to be, I guess, a pioneer tree. So now then you put in the holly and hawthorn and willow and elders, whatever else you want then to make it a wood. But yeah, so I have a lot of oak. I've planted about 900 trees at home myself.
Have
and
you?
I was heartbroken. Yeah, I was heartbroken, left Cork, so I just planted trees, anything that made me feel happy.
Just out there bawling, digging holes.
Yeah, it was very therapeutic. Yeah, it's great. I think I'm a big advocate. I think trees are great. I'm doing a project with a woman in the Growler, actually, over in Berlin. She's a big
Brilliant.
fanny as well. She's actually huge. The Virgin Mary. She has an actual. She's like the Virgin Mary, except she's a big veg, proper like growler. And she does talk. She's a Dublin accent. And talks about all the sorts. She's brilliant. So she connected with us, and she lives in Berlin. And we're going to do a kids project with the kids, just talking about native trees or what trees are native to Germany. Even though probably oak is similar too. I'd say it's similar pioneer trees all over Europe and stuff. But yeah, so it's great. So I think trees. They are putting 100 trees to every school in Ireland this year. That's probably where all my bloody trees are gone. But that's a good thing, but whether they look after them though, and they have to not just take for granted, that animals, rabbits, the way anything will eat them small.
Oh, sure, I know, sure they won't. Yeah, you
and
savage work to do before it gets up.
Yeah, it'd be very big work now if you've got deer. You'd have to I'm lucky around here, there's no deer around us, like.
No, there'll be, if we do manage to acquire that place behind, there will be.
I'd put an electric.
Oh, you're wasting your time. You could put in a fucking concrete wall 50 feet high. You're wasting your time with anything with deer. If they want in, they're in. There's only one way there's only one way to stop them.
If you get the land, they'll look up to agroforestry, because they give you, if you get the scheme, they give you like all the trees, and they give you in shoots, so they will be protected against if you do it yourself, it costs a bit, but if you get a scheme, you get like a grant to get the get all these tree, like protectors and stuff. So, no, I definitely think trees are the future. Yeah,
and sure. Even I was saying it to the old fella about Jesus. I says, even to square up that bit of land up there, I says, you'll firm it up with the roots as well as that to dry up the fucking corner of the field. And he was like, Jesus, yeah, that's the fucking job, all right.
Yeah, the willow, like it's dormant. It's almost out of dormant season now, but like willow, you can just cut it and put it in. Just keep taking cutting.
The parents, that was it. As the parents were building the house here, before they even cut the sod, the whole place planted. And people were going, what? This is the early 80s. They go, what the fuck are you doing? They went, but we want the trees now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So let's at least get them going now. And in 2 years' time, with the house finished, we'll have something going. Actually, they planted willows all over the place, and it was a wet spot now they got. The willows dried it up within 2 years. The whole place sucked up. It was brilliant.
Great. No, they're great. Well, that was with trees. Yeah, well, that was a great note at the end there, willows.
Anyway, where's I
think my my roommate's coming in.
Oh, Jesus, right. Perfect.
Well, Jonathan Gooding.
Brilliant stuff. The Lord himself.
The Lord himself,
So how long are you going to be in Cloughjordan for? This will go out this Friday. So Friday to whatever it is, is it the 15th?
Yeah, well, we're here for the next 2 weeks, and then we're going to Dingle. So we are showing it here for the Feeding Ourselves Festival in the 23rd, and this is going out Friday coming, is it?
Yeah, Friday the 15th.
Oh, if people are listening, to come to Easter Sunday, Street 66 for a cabaret show.
Yes,
good show. Yeah,
fantastic
and then
stuff.
We got Stony Bank on the 8th of May, but that's about it. I'll talk to you before then, anyway. Yeah,
powerful stuff. Breda Larkin, this has been an absolute joy. I'm invigorated. I'm going out now this minute to piss on an ash tree and plant it on and over. Thanks a million, Breda.
Yeah. No bother at all. Yeah.
Mind yourself.
You too.